Hey, what's up, everybody? It's BallietBran. We got the normal weekly stream today, and I need to spell the name a little bit better, but we've got Steve Hitson we're going to be streaming with. He's in the green room right now. But I'm going to show his Twitter and his YouTube just so everybody can go give him a follow first. And then we'll just do the intro like we do normally and then bring him on and, hear a little bit more about his story. So let me share the screen here. So it's Steve Hitson. His YouTube channel is in the description, and then so is his Twitter link. So this is his YouTube channel. Let me just make sure. Okay, cool. Yeah. So this is his YouTube channel. Let's get him up on the subscribers. Once again, he's got some Hex, some Pulse information, and we're kind of just going to be covering the whole gambit today. So that is his YouTube channel, and then his Twitter. Let me paste it in here as well. And then, so once again, go give him a follow on Twitter. It's at Steve Hitson. And then, we'll bring him on in just a second. Let me just say what's up to the chat real quick. Not going to be able to answer all the questions, obviously, because, when we're doing an interview, you can only focus on one thing at a time. But I'll just say a real quick hi to Jerry. I got Mustang, Dark Shadow. That's a cool name. Michael, Kyler Kaufman, Enoch, BG, Hex 369. What's up from Seattle? And everyone else we'll say hi to a little bit later. So let's do the intro and let's get right into it. Here we go.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, be sure to share, be sure to comment. Yeah. Say hey. Say hey. Motherfucking jackpot. We still jackpot, bitch!
Thank you, Richard, for creating and founding the most amazing and disruptive financial technology cryptocurrency ever. Thank you, sir. And nice streams, Mr. BallietBran.
Cool. So yeah, let's bring on Steve. And once again, we'll just, hear a little bit about his story, how he got into crypto, talk a little bit of Pulse Chain, some Hex, and some information like that. So let me just remove the comments here. Thanks, everyone, for being here. And without further ado, how's it going, Steve?
It's going good, man. I can't help but smile when I see your intro. Seriously, I start dancing a little bit and everything. It's great. I love that intro, man.
It's true, man. I've got to give full credit to Joe Hexotic, right? He's the one that created that. And, it's just so cool how much talent there is in the community. And with someone like himself, it was like, hey, dude, can I use this for the intro? And he's like, yeah, man, please do. So it's been really awesome to see, man, because we've just got just talent everywhere.
That's the one thing I've noticed about the community. I mean, obviously, I just started creating content like 2 weeks ago, but I've been in Hex since December last year. Wish I would have aped a little harder. Of course, we all do, right? But ultimately, yeah. I've been in since then. I've been buying since then. I bought this last dip. I'll keep buying them going forward. But that's the thing I've noticed is like, man, there's just a lot of talent, and not only that, but like, it really is like a big family. Everybody wants to help each other out. I've only been in it for a couple weeks. Crypto Coffee brought me on. You're bringing me on. There's other people I've been talking, Crypto Heartbeat I've been talking to already a little bit. So it's very exciting stuff, man. And I happen to see some of your old videos, and I've heard someone else talk about this too, like the old ones. I actually hit all mine, like you said you didn't. But
Yep.
I've got some too, man. I mean, I've tried all kinds of things, and I don't think anything has been rewarding as trying to create this content. And someone told me that like it just shines through like how much you actually like and care about this content compared to like other stuff you've tried. So yeah, I love it, man. I do need to work on my intro though.
Well, yeah, I kind of cheated because I just stole Joe's and then added the clip of Richard Hart shouting me out at the end. But you know, I mean, it really is one of those things that even Motley today, he had a stream and he was just talking about how there's like a new wave of streamers and people that are making videos. You know, he mentioned there's like a girl like Pulse Gains, there's Crypto Heartbeat, there's Lit, you know, My Life is Awesome. There's yourself that did a really good synopsis video the other day. Hexy Bastard, you know, just so many people. And it's like, man, you mentioned it kind of being like a big community or like a big family type of deal. It's really awesome to see like the evolution that's happening with just under a couple years, almost a couple years into it. And it's like, man, we're really making a lot of progress.
Yeah, I mean, the new channels are blowing up too about Pulse, obviously, showing that like the community is expanding beyond just people who were in Hex, which is, I mean, to have that community backing Hex, the long-term holders, the delayed gratification, as we all like to say, and it's going to be great. But it's really cool to see all the other people coming in. You know, we may not like all the projects that are being released or believe in them, but hey, that's part of having a network instead of just, you know, a CD type token. And I think it's amazing to see it. And of course there are some really great projects coming out on Pulse. So
well, and I've speaked about like Richard Hart's, I did it on Crypto Heartbeat, which if people haven't seen it yet, you should go watch Crypto Heartbeat's channel and then Hexray Vision. But I was speaking to him on his interview with me that, you know, I've seen Richard Hart's evolution, right? I was following him around like March 15th, 2017 is kind of when I started seeing his content, but he was a full on Bitcoin maxi and then started to realize like he evolved, you know, he started to realize, okay, smart contracts, you know, kind of Web 3.0 type of deal. This is legitimate. And then Hex is cool. It's awesome. Obviously it's just a smart contract, but with Pulse Chain, it's like, yeah, dude, this is a whole ecosystem, a whole blockchain itself, a network that people can build on. And there's so many hexagons even that are, you know, even Motley and some of those guys with the Legion VC that are building on top of Pulse. And, you know, I would just encourage people, to, you know, it's not like you have to like every project or product that's on there, but just realize like the way that it gains adoption and growth and value is different than Hex.
Correct. I mean, you got to have, you know, I personally don't invest in meme coins, but you got to have them. You got to have, because that's, I mean, for good or for worse, that's where some people get onboarded, you know, and then of course, hopefully most of them get past that and they can see more utility in things like, you know, store value for Hex or the different projects that are going to be amazing on Pulse. And then of course the users that come over from ETH, you know, to Pulse should be absolutely nuts in my mind. I mean, I know about a lot that isn't even out there right now, and NFT marketplaces and all kinds of stuff that's being done behind the scenes that should be amazing. So, anyways.
Well, yeah. Well, it's exciting, right? Because there's what we like and what we might have a bias to and think is great, but then that's just one person, right? There's also what the whole marketplace likes and values as well. And so, I think about the NFTs that you mentioned and the cool thing about Pulse Chain when Richard had initially mentioned it, he had always said that like, hey, you know, if the gas fees get too ridiculous, which they did, they like superseded the Hex gains, like as far as going from a penny to hundreds of dollars per transactions. But I remember him always saying that like, hey, you know, if we need to fork it, we will. And then now he, you know, he's ending up forking it, which is really cool. But it's just cool to see the progress happening so quickly. Because with, you know, something like Ethereum, since it's been out since like 2015, something like that, maybe their proof of work change to proof of stake is taking a little bit longer than they thought, which makes sense. But it's just cool to see that, hey, what Richard's doing, it's not directly trying to attack Ethereum. It's trying to, alleviate and kind of help the network.
I think even, and I could be wrong about my understanding of it, of course. I'll put that disclaimer in there, but we know that there's, with Pulse, there's been some people skeptical because of the high supply that's expected. But what people don't realize is that that's actually another one of those, game theory advantages that we have over Ethereum, because in theory, that's part of the problem is that, I mean, I hear people talk about it all the time, 50K, 100K, 150K ETH. It's not going to get better. Like, it's only like, even with ETH 2.0, I don't think it can, I think it can only get so much better. And then of course, as price goes up, it's going to be a pain. And again, it's hard when you have those existing projects with tons of network effect already to make those changes. Not only that, but, it's kind of the difference between someone who has already proven themselves or whatever, and done it. Like, there's not really a sense of urgency. I don't feel a sense of urgency coming from the ETH team to fix the problems. Like, you don't see it at all. Whereas, Richard's designed this to fix issues to help his current users and the rest of the crypto community in the wide, and it's and I mean, you can see the drive in him. It's much different than anything I've seen at a crypto project or creators. So it's very exciting.
Well, and yeah, I agree. I've said this before, I think on Crypto Heartbeat, but I think that Pulse Chain is going to be the best thing that ever happened to Hex. And when it comes to, price appreciation, when it comes to network adoption, I mean, even if I look at the fees, I can pull that up in a separate tab, but it's crazy how many people look at this. So it's an average of like $47.68 right now for just a transfer on Ethereum. And there's just so many people that they're excited. They just heard about it. They want to get on board. But when the average GUI is like 160 and you're paying $47.68 for just a transfer, let alone a swap, then it's a barrier to entry. And so I think Richard had saw that. And I mean, not just Richard, right? Binance Smart Chain forked Ethereum. But as you mentioned, the really unique thing about this is the copying of the system state and not just forking Ethereum empty like all of the other blockchains. So this is really going to, as Richard's mentioned, with Uniswap, with things like this, it's going to give them the advantage as opposed to, doing kind of what I think like Pancake Swap did or BSC Swap did, where they kind of did like, launch it empty and then they made clones that were similar to Uniswap. Like, instead, Richard's giving credit where it's due and allowing that system state to continue existing.
No, I think everybody's going to look back and be like all those chains that are going to be like, why didn't we think of this? Like, why did we launch empty? Because you're exactly right. Like, they're great. I mean, some of them are great, but they just can't seem to get traction. And I think that's exactly it. Like, whether it be the difference in coding, I mean, I'm not 100% sure on all that, but it does. I mean, I look on it now and I'm like, man, I can't believe nobody's done this yet. And I just wonder, like, did Richard really, like, all of a sudden just think of this? Or was this like what he was been thinking since he, first made the comment or even first made Hex? I would have a hard time sitting on my hands on an idea like that if I had it. So it's very interesting to think about that stuff.
Well, it's so true, man. He is quite the thought leader, and like even with Bitcoin, he was quite a thought leader as well, and obviously before then. But I remember following his streams, like literally everyone, because I was like, man, this guy's legit. I can sense that. Even if I don't agree with everything that he says, that he's passionate and that he's telling us the truth. But when I first heard the idea, because last night I made a clip of the computation fluid dynamics token that he wanted to create first before Hex, but it was just too complicated. And then he came up, he's like, wait, no one's like, just like with Pulse Chain, as we talked about, like, wait, no one's done programmable yield, like the CD on the blockchain type of deal. And so that was so cool that he was the first one to, capitalize on that. And then same thing that you mentioned with the, not only forking Ethereum and doing proof of stake and actually delegated proof of stake, but doing E 2.0 faster than them. But then also, as you say, like the whole system state, that's also like, not only is it ambitious, but I think it's like way more complex, because now you need to have maybe more beefy servers, or just that extra variable, I think adds a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. And I think, and I've actually seen other projects, and I will not show them. I actually can't even remember their names, so that helps.
Sure.
But I've seen other staking platforms like almost trying to copy Hex now, where literally 555 is the max you can, 55 Quattro Cinco is the max you can stake, and it's like, and they're just not. They can't seem. It doesn't look like they can get the same traction that Hex. It's kind of like, there is something to be said about being the first.
Yeah.
Bitcoin's by far the best store of value out there, but obviously because it was the king and the first one and all this stuff, there's a lot of importance behind that, and so Pulse is going to be crazy. I'm just so happy that I was able to get in. Like, I knew it was coming, and just like a lot of things, like if you don't stay on top of it, you'll miss the boat. And I literally hadn't checked the Telegram for like a week, and I checked it, and it was day 5 of the Sacrament. I was like, oh my gosh, like go. And so I was very fortunate to had that happen. Speaking about the ETH fees too, like I've literally had several onboardings not fail, but they just failed to take off for Hex because, and that's, I had one this morning. Guy came up to me. I got $100. I want to buy some. Well, you literally can't even buy it right now. Like, you can't with $100. So, but I told him, I said, Pulse Chain's coming out. I think it's going to be pretty soon, regardless of when it is. You should, at that point, you should be $1 cost averaging in. You need to, you take your $100, you save your $100 for now until we have the launch. And no, it's not too late, right? Everybody likes to think that, like, oh, you missed the stake, you missed the best price ever. It doesn't matter. Like obviously it matters a little bit, but it doesn't matter in the long run. Especially when you talk about if you're going to buy Hex and Pulse, it's all going to be nominal 5-10 years from now, like, or beyond. Yeah. So I encourage anybody that missed the sacrifice not to be discouraged, keep stacking, and wait for this launch to happen and get in. Do what you think you should do, but not financial.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Of course. No, that's always a good disclaimer addition to have. I agree the same thing too. I hear a lot of sometimes banter that, I missed Hex, it's too late for Hex. And it's like, man, it's actually, I would argue that it's the opposite, that we're so early. And same thing with Pulse Chain. You hear some people saying, oh, I missed it. And anyways, it shows you that someone like Crypto Heartbeat, he gave a really good analogy that this is almost like as far as the internet, where you're typing in like manual, like IP addresses, and just how the network itself is amazing and the technology is amazing. But we still got probably another 5 years type of deal before we really see that infrastructure really just set up the way that we all think that it can be set up, to its maximum utility.
Yeah, I'm going to age myself here a little bit, but I grew up in the AOL 2.0 days, like messaging people before, like when AOL was like the big thing. Everybody, anybody that had a personal computer, and I remember those horrific sounds that came from my modem and stuff, and that's what I think of right now. That's where we're at in crypto. We're just starting to see some adoption. We're still seeing EFTs be declined. We're seeing lawsuits, and we're still definitely seeing it. And there's going to be growing pains through all that. And no, you're right. I look at this like we're in the dial-up stages of the internet. We're past BBS boards. We're in dial-up now, but we're going to hit high-speed internet, and fiber and all that great stuff in the next 5 to 10 years. Especially as I don't see it any other way than, things like the Bitcoin is gonna start having less volatility. That's what you actually want in adoption, is less volatility. So again, that's why, you talk about, I mean, I actually, I mean, so as far as Bitcoin goes, like, yeah, there's plenty of excess to be had in that too, if you're willing to wait 10, 15 years. I mean, I don't think that anybody's late to anything. But that being said, I think we've all have been a little bit spoiled by 10,000 X's and things like that. But dude, they're out there. So keep looking. The next, like you said, Pulse Chain's coming. There's going to be projects on Pulse Chain that will do things that are good, that are amazing. I mean, obviously, to be straight up with everybody, all my bags are in Hex and Pulse right now. I don't have any want or desire to be in anything else at this moment, especially in the market cycle we're in. So I do plan on maybe if I can make myself stop buying Hex, buy some Ethereum and Bitcoin. But dude, I mean, it's absolutely. I mean, I thought the same thing when I was told about Hex at eighth of a cent, or 0.8 cents. So right before it hit a penny, I found out about it. That was my first purchase, and I was thinking, man, this thing can't go up much more. It's not gonna, yeah.
Boy, anyway, was I wrong.
yeah. Well, again, should have DCA'd a little faster, but But I've got stakes out. I got stakes out. I mean, I can't even touch most of it, which is the great thing about it. I mean, it really is. So.
Well, it really is, man. I made like a quick video before this, and I think it's what I'm going to start doing instead of answering individual questions individually, I guess. It's just making a video about it. That way everyone can see it versus just one person. But you're totally right where, people think, that it's too late and just some of these other things. You mentioned getting in around like about like 80% of a penny. Can you maybe I don't know, explain like a little bit more of your story. Like, how did you hear about it? Or, when did you first get into crypto? Because, you seem definitely very knowledgeable with the history of the experience.
Well, thank you. I was very fortunate to have I've been in IT most of my career, most of my professional career, bartender before that, over a decade ago. But I was, I met the owner of an IT, got into that. So I've been in IT. You think, because of that, I would have heard about Bitcoin, when it came out or something, but I didn't. But I do remember, hearing about Bitcoin at like $7. But of course, Matt, didn't realize that this magic internet money was going to be better than their magic internet money, as Richard Hart says in the doc. But so I didn't do anything, watched it, but I ended up going to after 7 years, worked for another guy that was big in it. And I had other reasons to trust him as well. So early 2017, April, I think 2017, I started investing. I bought some Ethereum really cheap. And like next thing I knew, it was doing like 5X and 10X. Like I was just like blown away. And I'll tell everybody this story because I think hopefully someone will learn something from it. But I had at some point gotten like 10 grand total in. I watched it turn into 100 grand. I pulled my 10 grand out, but then I proceeded to watch $90,000 turn into $3. And I did that because instead of staying in the trusty, Bitcoin and Ethereum, even though I would have lost a ton there too, it wouldn't have been as bad. I went into projects, one of them completely disappeared, things like that, and I think and that was like 40 grand worth of my whole, like it was just ridiculous. So I think we've all had those experiences, or not all of us, but a lot of us, which is, if you can make it through those, then it should only make you stronger. And I mean, that was honestly some of my skepticism with like Hex and things like that, because I had been burnt so bad that it was just like, again, you don't know, right? You don't fully know. I wasn't following Richard Hart prior. In fact, I had a little bit of learning to do to get over my initial thoughts of Richard Hart, like a lot of people.
Totally understandable.
I was watching some of his old, and he's like, man, this guy's, cocky and cursing a lot, or whatever, who cares? But it was like, once you could see past it, and then obviously I learned about him doing self-help book and all, and I realized, man, this guy's like, he just knows his stuff, and he's really just trying to help people. And so, but I invested. Unfortunately for me, I still had a lot of debt at that time, like consumer debt that I had racked up throughout my life, and so I couldn't really keep myself in the market, right? And And so I got in and out, in and out. And I finally, me and my wife spent about 2 years focusing on getting out of debt. And we did that. And I had mentioned to you, like I had put myself in a position where about a year ago, I sold my first home. I bought my new one, and I was liquid on some stuff. And so I decided I got in around October last year, which was a great time to get into the market. And then 2 months later, I found Hex, so I mean, I did fairly well, in this last cycle. But for me, at this point, it's too risky to have my money in anything other than Hex. And then obviously, some people think I'm nuts for what I did with Pulse, but like, if I could have, I would have I would have FOMO'd even harder. So, but I've been in for a while, studied a lot of, I've been really close to some big projects. I don't think I can disclose who brought me into Hex just because he's a pretty big player in it. And but anyways, I've been, once I understood Hex, understood Richard, and understood what he was trying to do to help people. Once I saw the community members like you guys and Motley and, Wales can be pretty aggressive, but man, he's just trying to help people. And so there's all these great community members that are real people that's one thing too. Like that's a dangerous combination for the rest of the, like, I don't think you realize how strong that is when you take people that are not, I don't want to say that aren't nobody, but are, not stars or celebrity. We're all come up from maybe nothing, right? We had to work hard for this. And so now you give them the power, not only that, but you give them wealth, you give them the mindset that we're going to help others along the way, help people behind us, help give back to the community, help teach people. That's powerful. It's going to be nuts when we go viral, as I feel like we're starting to finally do here. We're starting to like kind of turn that page, but maybe that's just because I'm consumed by it. But it does feel like, people around me know about it. Like I said, I've onboarded at least 40 people. I've kind of had to stop because of the ETH fees, but it's gonna go crazy when Pulse chain launches. Like I'm gonna be onboarding everyone around me probably pretty much.
Well, yeah, I would agree completely about, you mentioned seeing it since 80% of a penny and then now us kind of, becoming more viral. I would agree completely. I remember Hexologist was the first, and then it was RG3 and Hexo doing Discourse Syndicate, and then a handful of people joined the Discourse Syndicate. But now, dude, it's like, as you mentioned, us kind of becoming more viral versus pre-viral. Now it's like, man, I can't keep up with it. And like on Twitter, there used to be just like, I don't know, maybe like 20 or 50, and follow all of them. And now if I'll see someone that's say in Hex and Pulse I'm not following yet, I'll follow them, but then it'll give you like recommendations. And it's like, dude, oh my gosh, there's like never ending recommendations of people. And it's like, follow, trying to follow everyone. But it really is bullish that you mentioned. And I definitely agree. It's super cool to see that a lot of people's initial perceptions of Richard have now been, more alleviated due to just like time and history. And then also some of the things that he's done, like that $27 million being donated to charity, things like this are really, really cool to see that this is his like bigger picture. And you also mentioned about people that, maybe didn't come from wealth and didn't have wealth in the beginning. Richard talks about like, hey, his grand goal and his big goal is longevity, fixing the meat, getting people healthier, living longer. But how you do that is by getting them, you mentioned like with the debt, like getting those needs solved first before you can actually focus on like the important stuff.
Yeah, we got the real Godwell tweeting. That is awesome. We fix these problems, right? Like we live in a debt-based fiat system. Understanding that's really important. And what the world is gained to or set up to game us all. And if we're not on the right side of compounding interest, we're losing constantly, especially in today's world. But you're right. You help people financially, not just get into crypto, but hey man, like you need any help setting up a budget? Like I do a lot of this stuff. I actually work with several of my friends as their like financial accountability partners to try to help them because, you know, again, anything we get through ourselves, you know, I like to use, I think I'd said it, you know, with you is it's kind of our testimony, right? It's our ability to go out there in the world, help people that had similar problems as us. You know, another thing that I like to make sure people understand is like, yeah, my last drink was March 23rd, 2013. You know, I'm only 37 now, but I was 28 when I stopped drinking. And I wasn't like some degenerate necessarily. I mean, people, when I quit, people were like, you're not an alcoholic. My dad to this day will argue that I'm not an alcoholic. But I would argue that when I drink it all, you know, I don't stop. And so for me, I had to get rid of that in my life. And I can't tell you the differences it's made in my life since I did that, you know, since I made that commitment. My whole life's changed, you know, for the better. So
Well, and it's true, man. I mean, yeah, we talked a little bit about it in the green room, but same thing even with myself. Like, you know, cool, the wealth is there and stuff like this, but like, yeah, is the health there? No, it's not where I want it to be, you know. And so, yeah, kind of just working on some of those bigger picture, like more longer lasting things. Because what good is all the money in the world if yeah, you're dying slowly, or if you're not feeling healthy. So yeah, my dad did the same thing a few years back, and same thing, best decision that he ever made too. So it's really cool that we, you know, we not only have a community of people that are like-minded, that obviously, you know, people aren't in it for the tech, you know, let's just be honest, like they're in it for the mad gains, but it's so cool how many other commonalities that we share, because I've never had like a community growing up. And so to have people that are kind of like a support structure, or friends that you can kind of chat with and stuff, that may have gone through the same issues or have already, you know, succeeded for them. I think that's really cool. And that's really something that we can all kind of like learn from each other and grow from.
yeah, 100%, man. I mean, like I told you pre-stream, it was really cool to hear you talk about how you know you're being modest, you're driving around your new Toyota Corolla, I believe it was, and it's just like, you know, you just don't hear a lot of people, or you know, much less someone that's younger, talking about being responsible with their wealth. That is absolutely amazing. And if you can, like a lot of times people need to see it, right? You could tell them, you could tell them till you're blue in the face. Either they got to learn the hard lesson themselves, which stinks, or they just got to see it by example, right? Like, I mean, you know, I know people either look at me like I'm crazy, or they think I'm like super rich because I'm in crypto. And it's like,
Yeah.
I might be a little bit of both, but like not really. Like it still doesn't. Its wealth it depends on what you're doing with that wealth, you know. And also, rich is a mindset, right? Like it's not,
Totally.
money is only a tool to try to either, you know, you're going to typically exacerbate the characteristics that you have, whether it be, yeah, if you're an alcoholic, you're probably going to drink yourself to death, or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
If you get to party all the time and have no limits on your whatever you do, do
Sure.
you help people? Do you give? If you do, you're probably going to give a lot more when you got the resources too. And that's something that I had to really get in my heart, was like giving to others. And honestly, I'm an addictive type personality, so which is great if you use it in the right ways. But I challenge anybody, if you're not giving at this point in your life, try it, man. Go give somebody something without, you know, even if you don't have a lot, help somebody out. You'll see that those are the things you can't buy, right? I mean, I know that's funny, I'm saying that with money, but the gratitude that person, hope, you know, maybe not all of them, but most of the time you'll be shown, is amazing. It is addictive too, to give. So.
Well, it's true, man. I've always been like a giver growing up and stuff, but like, you know, it was never in the form of like money, you know, because I just didn't have, and not that I think that people should be giving money in the first place, right? But it was always kind of like in the form of like positivity, compliments, and stuff like this. But when you mentioned kind of like just having the tools and the options to be able to help people, like with the Uniswap bear drop, you know, you mentioned kind of getting in, you know, a couple months after. When did you say, like around 80% of a penny? When was that? Like November or something like that?
December.
Okay, yeah, December, yeah. Well, like just a little bit before that, I think it was maybe September that, was the Uniswap airdrop. But the point that I'm getting at was that, I had already seen a few hundred X or maybe even my first 1,000 X, I don't know, of gains. And I was like, okay, this $9,000 worth of like, 3 wallets to reclaim, I'm going to use this as like the most badass Christmas present ever, And so done that for the brothers, the girlfriend, all of that. But it's just really cool to see how you can not only share the wealth and the experience, but allow other people, just like what Richard's doing. He doesn't have to teach people his secrets and his greatest successes, but he does so because he wants other people to have that experience as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I could honestly, I could talk about, I love talking about this type of stuff. I mean, I also, if anybody goes and watches my videos, you'll see that a lot of what I talk about is like much more technical. Like I'm creating presentations and I'm trying to really get the data out there that I've been able to scrum. I'm a numbers guy. So that's the like gap I kind of saw that I wanted to try to fill in the Pulse community was data. But I really do enjoy just in general, like life helping people, whether it be financially, health. I mean, I'm the same thing as you. I may not look like it, but I was 50 pounds lighter a year ago. And none of that, it doesn't help, right? Like,
Right.
the weight, it hurts. And it is. It will,
Totally.
it will, like someone had said in the chat, what's all the money in the world doesn't mean anything if you're in the cemetery. One of my friends like to say, you never see a U-Haul following the hearse.
Right.
Like you're not going to be able
That's
to take
true.
your things with you. A lot of what I try to look up too is like, how do I protect? I don't want to just give my kids or my family everything either, but how do I protect them from making mistakes with anything I will leave them, and stuff like that too. But I do like to talk about the technicalities of Pulse, especially as we're still speculating. I think, there's been a lot of, there's been a lot of drama recently, right? On some things, man. And I'm not going to really dive into that. But what I do think is important is this kind of these talks about what can happen. It's very important to speculate. Again, and I think that that's the biggest issue is that people have to understand that's what we're doing. This was from your that hour-long video you dropped of the Pulse Chain Telegram chat. And I remember I was listening to it on, like, I was eating dinner and I'm like listening to it. I'm like, I get 20 minutes in and I'm like, dude, this is some great stuff. I was like, I need to, like, I finished dinner. I ran upstairs. I was like, I'm going to listen to this whole thing. I'm just going to try to sham it into 5 minutes. Right. Cause I think that's like also a value too, right? Like it's great. There's two things. It's really good to have to show the whole thing, right? Because you got to hear it from the person that's speaking it. I also think that when you work harder to figure something out, you typically you appreciate it more. So I don't know that giving somebody a 5-minute snippet was fair, but I do know that there's a want from the community from stuff like that. So yeah, I jumped in. I was like, I'm gonna do one slide, trim as much info as I can in it. And yeah, we got all kinds of things coming up, man. I loved the news about how many nodes we had. Of course, I think that just shows how active this community is. We got twice as many nodes as ETH had over years. I do wonder if we're going to see. Thanks, Pistonbrook. I do think that. I wonder if we're actually going to see testnet version 2. I thought for sure we would, but I'm wondering if they're just running it in the background now. Again, we don't know. None of us know, but I know there's a lot of people, we got to see version testnet. Well, no, we don't. Like we do. I would love it because I want to see my PLS amounts. That's my selfish, self-centered wants. I want to see that, but we don't have to see that. They could run it in the background with, and check it all themselves. They don't need us to jump on it. I think they've already done enough testing with one. I think without a doubt, they all want it released. I mean, Richard, all the developers, all of us, the community. But of course, as a lot of people say, we want to make sure it's working well. I'll wait a year if I have to, but I'd like it to launch tomorrow.
No, dude, you're totally right. You can't rush perfection. And a lot of us saw what happened initially with Hex, where it was at least, I know it was at least 8 months delayed, but the point is, and that's where like the 4 more weeks meme comes from, is 4 more weeks, but the point is I agree that that synopsis was absolutely amazing. And I actually got that video from like that specific clip from someone else, and I just downloaded it and re-uploaded it just to, spread more virality. Same thing with the clip that Motley just did on Richard talking about the meaning of life. I did the same thing, downloaded it and re-uploaded it. But I think the justification for this video that you did is absolutely amazing. I mean, because I was thinking about doing the same thing, like maybe writing down some bullet points or like a Google document and getting some of the major details down. But you did it very great. I mean, if we take a look at this, so even hoping it would have been done yesterday, we want it out as fast as everyone else does. Like the developer specifically, and shout out to Dan. He's actually he's in the chat right here, and I know he was asking Bree Tep, a lot of those questions that were really just leading the conversation into a direction that we all wanted to go. And it was almost an hour of just absolute golden information. So I think the synopsis that you've done here, there was also like a main page that you did as well, but very concise and super exciting to just see that stuff is happening, but maybe we don't see all of it happening behind the scenes as maybe the developers do.
Yeah, and shout out to Dan for, I know he's, I mean, and I know he's, I see him in that voice chat like 80% of the time I'm in there. I don't go in there as much anymore, but there was a time there where he was just constantly in there helping field questions and helping people. So shout out to him for that. Kudos to him. And I guess, I mean, you put this stuff out there and it's important, man. It is very important to have proper speculation happening. And I think any of the, I don't care if it's jokes. I don't care if you're hexologists, like taking, cryptic tweets. I mean, I love it. Like, I think it's our responsibility to not get all worked up about it. I thought maybe, it's true. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's true. But like this, I mean, first off, it's not the 18th yet, so we don't know. But for me to sit back and be like, no, that's not going to happen. I don't know. I think it's as good a chance it could happen as it couldn't. I don't know. Like I'm not developer. I'm not Richard Hart. That's really the key. I'm not Richard Hart. None of us are. Until he drops something, assume everything is speculation. Everything you see. And because I think he even keeps it from the developers. I literally do. I wonder if he even knows exactly. Like he's kind of he's good. He's good at playing by ear. He knows. Like I think he thinks about the 20 different outcomes or whatever that could happen, and he's, as it comes along, he's adjusting, and I think that's amazing. It's good stuff.
Yeah, someone had actually asked. So Pulse Max. Once again, I can't get to all the comments or questions, but so I know Bree had mentioned that, or sorry, not Bree, but Bree Tep. They had mentioned, what was it? Yeah, 395 confirmed synced nodes, but that was just what was confirmed. He had mentioned that, and that was within like a 30-minute span of him, scanning all of it. But as far as what the nodes are now, I don't know. I don't know how you'd go to confirm that. But the point is that is really bullish, and even Dan took mention to that as well. Like, damn, that's more than I was thinking too. And it's just so cool to see that. I think it took like Ethereum about like 2 years to get 200, and we're still in testnet and have like over 400 now. So that's just showing you the adoption that this is going to have. And I've said it before, but Hex, it's been around for, as far as the Telegram group, almost 3 years. And I don't know, we've got maybe under 40,000, but for Pulse Chain Com, we've got about maybe 6-7 months at most. And that thing's over 50,000 members. And it's like, man, how much more is that going to exponentially grow once it actually does launch? Like everyone's waiting for that final launch, but it's just so exciting to see the developer can't sleep. He's just getting so excited. And, this is the kind of powerful technology that'll really help the network and help everyone else too.
That's right. And we think about also what portion of the community of Hex is actually in the chat. We know we got over 70,000 stakers. I know most of the people I've onboarded are not in the Telegram chat. Like they're just not there. Some of them wouldn't have known how to get Hex if I wouldn't have showed them, you know what I mean? Much less care to follow every, 10,000 messages a day in every chat that you get into. It's really I think it's really the people like us. We take that information. We're able to consume it. We're able to, with all the other experience we have, try to put some sort of synopsis together that makes sense to us and then share it with the world. Right. And then you got, so let's just say it's, I don't know, 25% are actually in the Telegram. I think that's high, probably. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that, because a lot of the Hex guys, man, I'll give that to the Hex users, man. They are technical and they're smart, like smarter than almost any other group of crypto people I've found by far. And then, Pulse, like, dude, I guarantee you there's 6-figure people out there that know about Pulse and are ready to jump on this thing when it comes out. So.
Oh yeah. Well, and I know people that, the cool thing about Hex is you see 10,000x gains, things like this, but I know people that, easily sacrificed over 6 figures, and you see, and that was at the beginning of the sacrifice, but you see those kinds of hands. And I mean, a lot of people that were successful and have had success with Hex, now they don't even need to sell a single Pulse if they ever want. Like, they don't ever need to if they don't want to, is what I'm trying to get at. And so you look at some of these like pumpamentals that made Hex a store of value and it grow, which is awesome. But just to think about the actual sacrifice set itself, as far as the total, a lot of it, as you mentioned, are hexagons. And just to think that those are like some of the most diamond of hands is pretty cool for just
Definitely.
the pumpamentals, I guess.
Yeah, and you got, a great example of what you're talking about is the Hex God Whale, number 2 sacrificer. For anybody that doesn't know, he's an ETH Genesis whale. And then he didn't sacrifice Hex in the sacrifice. You know what he sacrificed? He sacrificed 10,000 ETH. If that's not a proof of, like, once you have enough and you're not being some greedy bastard, for a better way to put it.
Yep.
You got enough.
Exactly.
Someone had, I think Dan had asked in the tweet, he said, well, what's the end game, right? Like, what's the, I personally can't answer that, especially not for the real God Whale, but I imagine it's a much different, like, a lot of us are worried about just making enough money to get out of the rat race. That is what, like, I believe 99% of people, that's what they're trying to figure out. But once you get past that, like, and you realize money doesn't necessarily buy happiness, it's a different game. I think, like Richard, man, he wants to be the best. Yeah.
Totally.
What's the end goal of accumulation, waiting and holding? It's funny, not to compare you to my wife, Dan, but my wife asked me the same, like, I'm just going to hold this stuff. Like, well, you got to sell some of it at some point. I don't know. Maybe not.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Like, I think for me, obviously my goal is to, like, I want to be able to just sell fees or sell the interest. That's my personal goal at this point, and have enough of that to live well above my means, but really start giving back more. Like, I don't want to take it to a religious standpoint, but for me, I have a goal of mine. I want to be able to give away 90%. And I know that I wanted to flip the whole, the goal on its head. Yeah. And I want to be able to give away 90%, live on 10%. And so that doesn't just mean that I can live some lavish lifestyle. It means that I need to have a grip on what I live within my means too. And to be able to get to that goal, that's not easy. You know what I mean? You have to, like you said, you don't want to be someone that's in debt. You don't want to be someone that's just out there blowing money, doing stupid stuff that's not going to reward you or the people that you're trying to help. So I'd much rather be given, 5 Quattro Synchro stakes away for people and stuff like that, So for me, that's a personal goal of mine. I truly believe one day in my life, I'll be at that point where I can give 90%, and not just 90% of my principal. Like, I'll keep the principal to earn the interest, earn the fees, yield or whatever you're going to try to do with the different tokens that you own, but or whatever systems. I mean, whether, you know, whether you're out there buying Airbnbs and doing that or whatever. I mean, whatever it is, I want to be able to make enough income, live off of 10, give away 90. And yeah, I don't really know where I was going with that, but that's it.
No, I mean, you're totally right. And I know Crypto Heartbeat, he, you know, he's worked in like nonprofits for, he had mentioned at least like 20 years, but Richard, right? He's always been very philanthropic, even to the point of allowing the Bitcoiners, right, to do the free claim for the Hex, the 10,000 Hex per Bitcoin for the free claim. But that's been the coolest thing for Hex, right? Is just and it takes everyone a little bit more or less time based on your scenario, but just the fact that the cup was overflowing for me so much that like my oldest brother, his name is Steve too, but anyways, one of his friends had a kid maybe 2 years ago, and I had set up his kid when he had turned like one, a Cuatro Cinco stake, you know, and it's like, dude, that kid, and I don't even know how much it was at the time, but looking at it most recently, even with the dip, it was like $1,500 currently, and it's staked, you know. But it's like, man, just to think that people like, you know, my brother's best friend's kid and his family will be like set off, you know, well off in about 15 years. Same thing for the parents. You know, I did like a 5-year stake for them. But it's just really cool that, yeah, once your cup does overflow, now you can start, you know, not stressing about those bills and the day-to-day drama in life. But now you can start letting other people have their cups overflow and teach them, right? Instead of just giving someone a fish, kind of teaching them how to fish. And I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, something else, and I keep thinking of it while we're talking about it, especially as we were getting into the technicals of the what's going to happen with Pulse. You know, a lot of people, you know, like to try to compare it to Hex, where like Hex dropped in the beginning, you know, for a while before it came back up. And I know some people are expecting that. And I, you know, at first, I personally don't believe that. Like, I don't believe it's going to happen the same way. They're completely different coins and different situations, and the whole thing's different, right? Oh, like that, right. Hair, brother.
It's getting a little hot, you know.
Yeah. No, I feel you. My computer.
Alfalfa.
No, you're good. So, anyways, the only thing I can think on Pulse, and I'm kind of going on a tangent here a little bit, is the liquidity pools, the automated market makers. So 2.5%, up to 2.5% of the pools will be minted for the liquidity, like the liquidity pools that are coming over. That's the only place I can think that people can get Pulse for free or cheap or whatever you want to say, because they're trading their PRC20s to make that happen. But again, I just see so much demand. And I know a lot of people don't like talking about the bonding curve price and things like that and comparing it to but like, and I agree, there's not enough, like a few whatevers don't make the you know, for everybody. But I think it does still show a demand. And so I think, again, when I'm talking about those pools, there's going to be a lot of Pulse that comes over and can be traded for those PRC20s. Now, again, I think people, like, a lot of that's going to actually be in the hands of, like, the ERC20s are in the hands of the centralized exchanges and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I also think that the pools can be probably tanked pretty quickly. So, you know, if someone does just liquidate all their ERC20 or PRC20 to get Pulse, that it won't really, it'll probably be a drop in the bucket. But that's really the only place. And so you talk about, like, yeah, the OA address is going to have 90%. Yeah, whales and things like that sacrifice have a large majority, like a huge majority. Like, I'm pretty high up in there in the staking ladder, and I'm not even, like, I don't have an average below the average. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't get, it's nuts how weighted that is at the top. And you're right. That's all good stuff. That's actually really good stuff for Pulse, because the whales don't sell. You know, they're not the ones that are rug, like, they're not rug pulling, man. That's not what they want. They don't care. They got money. Money ain't the question, you know? And if they're smart about it, they can get more money, and they know that. They know that if they play the long game, the guys creating the pools and creating the limit orders and stuff like that, that's where it's at. It's not rug pulling people. So the only time you get that is when you get corrupt, greedy owners of coin, So it's going to be very interesting. I can't wait to see what happens. I personally think it's going to do better than most people think in the beginning.
Totally.
I just wonder how much, like a lot of people don't think it could go to a penny quick and things like that, but I've seen what other crappy coins do, and I don't have there's nothing wrong with it going 100x, 200x in
Right.
my mind very quickly.
Yeah.
The question is, how effective will it be to the market, right? To the rest of the market? Because Hex, we know, is liquidity is mainly in USDC, which is amazing. We all love that. We love that it's literally almost the opposite of the rest of the market. So it also has cycles that are like super small compared to like 4-year halving cycles. So it's great, but I do personally expect Pulse to be a little more joined to the market. I mean, that's just my thoughts on it. So,
Right.
but I'm so excited, man. I'm like, trying not to plan my retirement too early.
Well, no, I mean, you're totally right. And I think that is very interesting is that there is a huge demand for Pulse Chain. And like you talk about with the supply too, I had done a video like kind of answering some questions from the audience, right? Just in the YouTube comments before doing this. And one person was saying like, and I'm using this analogy for Pulse Chain, but they're saying with Hex, like, were you serious that you think Hex can reach the prices of, thousands of dollars and stuff like this? And it's like, yes, the supply is what a lot of people look at when they're just asking that question. But one thing that they fail to realize is the elephant in the room, like that 95% centralization of, say, a whale or of an entity, whatever the OA is, that doesn't need to sell. And then, as you also say, if it's not a part of the liquidity pool, and if it's not something that you can actually buy or sell, then, it's kind of irrelevant until it does become relevant, or if it ever does. So otherwise, it's kind of just speculation. So I said that to say that I think we could hit a penny a lot more quickly than people think as well.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people I'm talking to right now, literally, that are just, especially now that I'm wearing my Pulse shirts. And for people that want to know, I just went on Amazon and got these, so they're available everywhere. But I mean, yeah, I got people coming up to me all the time now. When's it launch? I wish I knew, but as soon as it does, I got about 50 people I got to call, or text or do something with it. And then not only that, but I got to show them, like half of them, I got to show them how to do it. I mean, we got to figure it out ourselves too. Like, what bridges are going to be available? What's the best fiat on ramp? I know I've heard about Trust Swap. I've heard some other stuff, some other bridges already, DEXs that are going to support Pulse Chain from the get-go, supposedly. Obviously, we also are all hoping that Pulse Swap is available immediately. I think Richard wants it as well, even though I know he said that it wasn't like we're going to launch if we can launch. Like, I think when he sits down and really thinks about, like, for me, I know that if I was in his shoes, I would want that to be available too. But again, I guess it probably just depends on like how much would that delay the launch. If it's going to delay it 4 months, maybe you do just launch and let someone else, because there are people that are ready. Like, I know that for a fact. Yeah. We launch within an hour, there's going to be a bridge that's available. I promise. Regardless if Richard does Pulse Swap or not. Personally, I'd love for Pulse Swap to be available though, because I just like staying in Richard Hart projects. Like, I don't want to get out too much.
Well, and yeah, like another thing the BreTep core developer had mentioned was that there was like 300 or 400 developers, that aren't necessarily a part of the core team or some of these other team, but people that are working maybe on other projects that they want to build for Pulse, or just things like this that they want to like contribute. Like he had mentioned that some of the people in the chat were reading his code and verifying it. So when you talk about if Richard or if their team doesn't come up with the solution, then other people can and might. I think that's awesome, right? Instead of one person or one entity or organization doing all the work, it is cool that everyone can kind of do the commits.
Yeah, and I mean, and also the part about like you're saying, the auto discover that he was making sure was working, so that if the main node that Richard and the dev team or whoever are going to have in Amazon goes down, that the network keeps going. I mean, that's super important. I mean, that's really what we want from this, and again, we want. I mean, we want any and all projects too. We want as many people onboarded into Pulse as we can.
Exactly.
As a community, we can try to help vet the projects and warn people the best we can. And again, that's all speculation. That's only going to be our opinion. It says it at the bottom there, built-in support for auto discovery. I remember when he said it, just in case. And again, that's a big deal, man. That's like awesome. You know, that shows you that, like, I mean, the last thing you want is something to happen to Richard or something, and then it be determined on the fate of him. I mean, I know that's not the case, you know. And then again, the Bowden thing there, like, don't see any major hurdles for MVP right now. So that's amazing. Someone had asked over there, beyond all, what do you think? Yeah, what do you think is the MVP? I mean, yes, definitely can determine timing on launch. I think the chain is pretty much ready to go. If you have to ask me, I mean, I just saw someone, I retweeted it about the commits that happened in the GitLab about having the amounts, the BLS amounts, the actual amounts.
I actually just saw that. We can share that too, because I was looking for the sacrifice rate, and anyone that doesn't follow the financier really should. Let me just the financier, I guess.
Yeah,
but he says
I think it was like Ed or something like that I saw it posted, and they had two things on it somewhere in my tweets. I don't know. Anyway, it's not a big deal. So that's being I mean, that's again why I say, like, I mean, if we were going to see testnet 2, I don't really see, I could almost see us now. We don't get, like, the public doesn't even need to see version 2. Like, there's not really a reason. I also kind of think, like, you know, everybody wants to, you know, we get heated about this November 18th thing. Like, there's nothing saying that Richard doesn't launch mainnet, doesn't let anybody know, runs it for 2 weeks, making sure everything's good, and then lets everybody know. There's all kinds of ways that this could go down. There's so many different ways. So for anybody to say that something's not possible, they're just wrong. I don't care what anybody, like, none of us know. Any of it's possible. There's all kinds of ways that they could break it. Like you said, like, people are like, oh, you can't have a snapshot on the 18th. And I get it. Okay, fork, snapshot, definitions. And I'm a tech guy. I get it. Like, I hate it when people use the wrong lingo. So I'm with you. I'm not a programmer. But I do understand that they could launch mainnet and then tell us 2 weeks later. And so, no, you don't know when you should have had your tokens in your wallet to get the copies. And he might not know until Richard says it's live and here's the settings, you know?
Yeah.
So,
well, and Richard's talked about that too, like in the meetup, because he's made it very, you know, explicitly clear that he wants the, you know, the value itself of the chain to launch at, like, you know, he doesn't want to open up the trading to where now it starts, you know, accruing the value and the ratios get set, but he wants it to be, you know, very evident that it does launch at like a zero value, you know, so that would kind of, you know, corroborate and agree with your point of, you know, maybe having the mainnet possibly being launched before people do get told, or before that bridge does open, or before the coins do get allocated. I mean, just as far as like a logical thought, it does make sense that you would want to, you know, you wouldn't want to just launch it and then everyone be crossing their fingers at the same time, the public and the developers. You would kind of maybe want that to be done first privately. I would agree with that kind of sentiment.
Yeah, I think something big that's different from the Hex as well as Pulse is, I mean, we're ultimately going to want it to be on centralized exchanges. It's not the same thing as Hex. I personally would love to see a Coinbase you know, listing of Pulse, and that, I mean, I think it has to happen
totally
for us to
man.
really reach the number of people that we want to. I think it'll help everybody's value as well, of course, but I think the bigger part of it is All we have to do is create the network effect. All we have to do is onboard users. Best way to onboard users is to not be gate kept on ranking sites, which sucks. We know all those sites suck. I don't even go to any of them anymore. But that has to be figured out. And I think the only way, and then again, get things like Coinbase, the big boys, Binance, all of them, regardless of our sentiment towards the owners or what they do to the markets or wash trading, it's just a part of becoming mainstream, and that's what we want for Pulse. So there's no doubt.
It's so true, man. You're definitely right, especially given that the Pulse chain network itself does grow via, or not grow, but it gains value via adoption and people using it. I agree. That was one thing that the BreTep developer had mentioned, was that because Dan was saying, like, I think a minimum viable product before you go through with it is the bridge and things like this. But I think it's also interesting that BreTep had mentioned that people would be incentivized, or that they would be wanting to be incentivized via, having like a first mover's advantage if someone like a Coinbase or like a major exchange. I think that could really be a big deal,
Yeah, I agree. There's a couple people asking about that in the chat, like Coinbase, don't much coins crash upon listing by Hex Pulse. Like, no, they actually go up a lot and then they crash. That's why it looks like they're crashing, because they spike. And then really that's kind of what you expect when, if it was to be listed on any of these major exchanges, people rush into them, especially since Pulse is going to be so cheap looking. It's like people are going to want to buy it. So yes, just like I would love for there to be a period where we launch with a bridge. I'm not saying go immediately to the exchanges, but like in my eyes, my speculation behind it is that we can stabilize, we get listed as needed. I don't think anybody is going to be begging for that. I don't know. I don't see Richard begging for his coin to be listed on a central exchange, but it doesn't mean other people won't be fighting for it. But no, typically what I see, and I got a buddy that, like, all he does is just buy a little bit of the new coins every time they're launched on Coinbase. And dude, he does fine. Like, but he holds them for a year or two. Like, but he does amazing with just that singular strategy. Like, put 100, put a whatever you can at the time into that new coin. He doesn't care what it is. I hate on him sometimes for it, but I'm just jealous too sometimes. But he does very well. But yeah, they go up, they shoot up, and then people cash out. That's really what happened. It comes down, and then it takes another. It just does it like it does any coins. They just cycle.
Well, yeah, especially if you're going to have what we say, like being your own bank, and kind of like this is like the new financial system versus, say, the legacy. Well, if that is the case, then we got a shit ton of people to onboard and to adopt, and like, you don't just do that through not having it be on the most popular exchanges and the most popular listings type of deal. So I agree. It'll just be exciting, man. Like, this is super cool to see the evolution. And I think a lot of people, especially, people that have been wanting Ethereum 2.0, or people that were using BSC and all these other things, I think they're really excited to see what Richard can do. And he's got a huge team of very talented developers that are, top tier as well. So that's awesome.
Yep, I completely agree with you. It's there's a ton of projects being worked on for Pulse.
Mm-hmm.
You got people like Overwatch, who's talking about giving away $2 million in grants. He's a man of his word from what I've seen.
Yeah, totally.
Whatever, and so I think that's going to help. You got other people. You got Funding Jim out there hanging out with Robert. Rich
Kiyosaki,
like, dude, come on. And honestly, as much as we can, we should all be doing that same thing, because we can do it without centralized exchanges. It would just take longer, and that's not a bad thing. That's what I see from the community, man. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the community that was before me, to like watch y'all's videos, gain that trust through watching that videos, talk to people about it, and then obviously see it from my own eyes, and see that, the hex that I sold in the beginning and didn't stake, I regret every single bit of that hex I sold. seriously, like, but it is what it is. Those are sometimes the lessons that you need to learn through this stuff. But yeah, Pulse is going to be nuts. I see someone talking about some low price predictions, and I only question I would have is why, how did someone think it's going to go below the SAC price? I just think there's too many. I know Overwatch has said that they got just as much as they sacrificed on the sidelines, ready to go in if they need to buy. I think you got people like the God Whale. He ain't scared to buy more. And that's just the top. That's just, I could probably go through every person. I know I will, if I have a price cheaper than the price I got in and sacrifice, I am doubling up. I'm buying more. I think every single person on that, I don't think there's a single person that's going to sell for a loss that bought at least in the first 5 days of sacrifice. I would be blown away because there's just not enough. The only place that Pulse could come from to be dumped would be from the automated market makers, the liquidity pools. And I don't think it's enough to cause that kind of collapse personally. And if it does, it's going to be brief and buy.
Totally just a random off. I want to get back to the point, but your hair looks amazing. Please, what is your secret?
I've actually got what's called an ascending hairline. It's going to eventually work its way down my forehead and connect to my eyebrows. So like a lot of people have to worry about it receding. I got like widow's peak here, like
that's hilarious.
And it's November, it's Movember too, Men's Health. And that's why I look like a scrub here. Like I typically either grow it all the way out or I shave it. I don't try not to have it in between. But no, thanks. I hope that's a real compliment. Thanks. I'll let my barber know. I'll tell my barber, good job.
Well, yeah, and that was just kind of a funny little side topic. Yeah, but no, you're totally right. I mean, yeah, people like Rackham, people like the Godwill, as you mentioned, the Godwill had already sacrificed the 10,000 Ethereum. That shows you that yeah, they weren't willing, because I didn't do all the analysis, but it looks like they weren't willing to sacrifice the Hex. I mean, if that's what happened, the 10,000 Ethereum for the sacrifice, then that shows you that, hey, they're keeping, they're getting rid of some of that ETH, and they're getting, the Pulse, they're getting the Hex, and they're kind of keeping that as like the new diamond hands. I think that is really like if that's not a vote of confidence, then I don't really know what is. And as you mentioned, like people that are waiting on the sidelines, there's a lot of people that they don't like the I guess uncertainties with the idea of sacrificing. They would rather it be launched and know for sure that it's not just a vote for free speech, right? So that part's interesting too. Yeah. The second that a market becomes open, that people will be buying most likely, and it's just cool, man. I've never seen a snowball start to roll down the hill so quickly, and like we haven't even launched yet.
No, and that's why I think there is going to be a huge spike, just like any release of anything, and then there will be a correction. But I definitely don't. I can't fathom it ever being back below the initial 1 to 5 days or any of the, I think, initial sacrifice phase. I think anybody that got in that beginning is golden. Again, I still don't think it's just like, like you were saying with the ETH, he chose to sacrifice ETH, and the only reason I can think that someone would sacrifice ETH is he thinks it's the least of his assets. He thinks it has the least X factor on his remaining assets, and that's the only thing that makes sense. And he's, it's obviously not somebody that's dumb. He's got intelligence. He's done this before. He's gotten in early. He knows what holding for 6 years can do. Can make you a billionaire in his case. And again, I personally do not believe that we're going to see the dip the same way that Hex did. Hex came out, like you said, people got 10,000 Hex for free. There was I don't know if there was pre-sale or not. I have no idea actually, but if there was, people got in at ridiculously low prices. But really, I think it's more the fact that people got free Hex, like for having Bitcoin. I think that's a reason for that dip. But again, I could be wrong. I don't know everything about that. Yeah, we got so many bullish factors into Pulse, and you got somebody who's got some of the greatest game theory in the space building a brand new coin after watching a decade of the market do its thing. I don't think I wouldn't want to follow anybody else. Like, again, people think I'm crazy when I tell them I sacrifice. They're like, what do you mean? Like, it scares them still. And I have zero doubt, not a single
totally
bit of my fiber thinks that I made the wrong decision. And I actually FOMO'd more than I said I would. Like, I started liquidating everything. I was like, oh gosh, like I told I was only going to sell half of this or half of that, and I just did I literally was like, as much as I can get in, I should right now. Besides my Hex, that's it. So.
Well, you know, and it's these kinds of financial decisions, not being scared, not pussyfooting, but realizing, hey, you know, I know what I'm doing. I know what this technology is. I know what the product that this founder has made in the past has done. And like you mentioned, kind of just doing it with confidence, because if I were to tell my family members the amount that, you know, sacrificed or even Hex in the beginning, I never told them about Hex because a lot of them were down talking every crypto that I was in. So it's like, well, why am I going to share this with you? I'll just keep this to myself. But it's usually those decisions that people make in the short term that are delaying gratification and things like that really do pay off in the long term. But then it might not always, but sometimes it can be those same people that now say you're lucky. You know, like, oh, you just got lucky. It's like, no, I didn't, dude. But
yeah, someone had said Richard could be the god. Well, at least one good reason I can tell you that's not probable is he was a Bitcoin maxi when Ethereum launched. He actually admits to not believing in Ethereum, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And so unless he's just straight up lying to protect himself or something, I also think the way that the Twitter account's talking isn't Richard. But anyways, that's just my thought.
No, he had like a Medium article. I was looking for it, but like it was like 10 reasons why. I think it was like 10 reasons why Bitcoin will be better than Ethereum, something like that. And that was sometime in 2017 too. And so, yeah, I don't know. The thing that we talk about, especially when it comes to speculation, that nice Hexologist is in here too. Shout out to him. You know, people. Yeah, shout out to him. I mean, people can speculate all they want, but at the end of the day, it's just like who is the origin address and all these other things. Like, who cares? Just, you know, just worry about yourself and just know that, hey, there's a lot of wealthy people that are in this ecosystem that know exactly what they're doing. And you're able to, you know, no matter what level you are in, you're able to participate with the big players too. Like, that's the exciting thing that, you know, I get really happy about.
I mean, there's one thing I've learned about this kind of stuff is if you can see the on-chain data or it's obvious, you should follow the money. And that's why I feel like I FOMO'd as much as I did into Pulse. I mean, not only that, but Richard Hart's already got the proven track record. He loves to help the world. That's his get rich. You know, money's not what does it for him anymore. You know, it's the pride and the success of helping others and creating the best crypto in the world. If you watch that trailer and don't get hyped, there's something wrong with you. Like, that line of our magic internet money is better than their magic internet money. I love it. Like, I could watch it over and over again. Hex Pulse said that there was a big drop. So even ETH launched at like a 10x when it launched. I don't think it ever dropped below the actual the IDO price of 31 cents or 32 cents, whatever it was. So I don't even think that ever got below. Like, it did. You're right. It launched like 10x, I believe, like and I could be wrong. Obviously, I'm trying to remember, because I remember there was somebody that did a video about that, trying to compare it to do a price prediction, and I actually liked that. Honestly, my favorite price prediction, and come on, you got to let people love the price predictions.
Of course,
the whole way I calculated what I think is going to happen, and what makes sense. Sorry about that.
No, not at all, man. We all got.
No, I'm a real guy. I got real. I got 3 little girls. They're crazy. Yeah, sorry about that. So my favorite price. prediction is basically if you take the estimated supply of Pulse, you divide it by the supply of ETH, you get about 1.269, like 1.269 million. So 1,269,000 to 1, because that's how amazing this sacrifice went for us. So if you take that and you just divide that number, it's the 1,269,000. You divide it by the current ETH price, or divide the current ETH price by that, you end up at about, I think it's 2037, so 0.0037, if I'm correct. I did it in one of my videos. So that's about a third of a cent.
Yeah.
I don't see why that's not possible for a launch price. Of course, I think at that price you will see some dumping. I don't think it'll be by the big guys. I'm not dumping at 0.3 of a cent, but you might see some. But I think, again, I think people are ready to buy, even up to a penny. I don't think anybody's like, I mean, again, I've seen other crap coins do way better. I don't understand how the best project in crypto could do bad at launch. But that was one of my favorite ones because, again, you got all these liquidity pools coming over that are going to be ratioed out and balanced and all this stuff based on the current, stuff. It's like, man, that's what makes the most sense to me, is that when you pair it up and the bridge is complete, that based on the supply, boom, that's where you launch it. And you just got to, then the free market's got to dictate what happens, obviously. So, we'll see, though. I think at any price, people better be ready to buy. And again, typically the best way to buy, and from what I've seen, is dollar cost averaging. Again, not financial advice, but, that's typically been the best way. I mean, even if Hex, right? If Hex, I've heard not the horror story, I don't want to call that, because even if you got in on the first day, but the whole way that adoption amplifier worked was like the more people that got in on that day, the worse the rate was. And everybody jumped in on day one, and it was like actually like the worst day to get in or whatever it was. And it just kind of funny, like, and Richard knew that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, he understood the math behind it. Like, and I think he even warned people, if I remember correctly.
He did. He had a tweet that said, if this gets like 100 retweets, something like that, I will post some data about because the adoption amplifier was directly copied from the EOS, which was like 4 billion, the ICO of EOS. And he had shown some of the data, because I think it was 351 days for them too. But he had showed, the amount that they had done on day one, and it was significantly skewed as far as them getting a way, worse value. So it's cool that, as you mentioned, some people didn't listen to Richard on day one. I know a lot of people, myself included, and it goes to show you that he really is looking out for the people. If you just listen to what he's saying and put some of it to implementation, I mean, the guy's not trying to screw people over. He's trying to help people, and he's giving people like the best practices and the best tips. I mean, what more can you ask for?
That's correct. That's exactly right. And thanks for all the funny comments about my daughter. It was and I got to get a lock on that door. I knew that was going to happen eventually, especially with me streaming and stuff. But so that the X factor of the price prediction I just made. So it's my understanding that the average, so 0.3 zeros and a 1 is the 10,000 pulse per dollar, but the average is higher than that because of the volume multiplier, or the multiplier volume bonus, whatever it is, volume multiplier bonus. And so it's actually about 4054, if I remember correctly, from an amazing spreadsheet I saw somebody
for Hex.
No, this is actually for Pulse, the average.
Oh,
Pulse.
Okay.
Yeah, someone asked if what my prediction was, how many X factor that was off of the price that the SAC price was. So.
Oh, okay, my bad. Cool.
Yeah, no worries. So it's probably about 70X. It's really 37X from the 3 zeros and a 1. But anyways, it's gonna be accidentally nuts. But yeah, Hex. I mean, Richard has always looked out for people, right? Like. That's, I think, what people don't understand. And that's why, people jumping down everybody's throat about reading between the lines of Richard's tweets. If you don't try to do that, you're gonna miss something. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. Like, I'd rather be the guy that speculated and got it wrong a few times and finally got it right than the guy that just hated on everything and didn't like thought it was all stupid. I'm just gonna wait and then I'm not gonna pay attention to anything I can. And I mean, there's so much, like you said, there's so many content creators now out there doing this stuff. There's so many people putting the puzzle pieces together. I mean, we know Richard's been sick and stuff, but he's gonna drop. He's gonna what do we call them? Surprise eggs or Easter eggs or
Easter eggs. Yeah,
Easter eggs.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah. I mean, you got the guy came up with Hart's Law, man. Come on, if you can't see that he's not a genius in this game, and he loves to help people, but he expects people to put work in, which means he's not gonna just tell you. He's gonna make you dig a little bit.
He teaches people how to fish. He doesn't just give you the fish, but if you even listen to some of the advice that he does say, it's like, or just some of the information that he shares, it's usually information that are like the best kept secrets that most people would never tell anyone, or if they did, they would try and put it in a trading group or a trading course. And Richard just gives it away for free, like even his How to Fix the World or the Sci-Fi book, and as we talked about with crypto, it's like, man, the guy really is working towards his accomplishment of achieving legacy, and it's cool that that's what he has seen that fulfills him. Once all the money is there, like, what do you do now? You've already traveled the world, you've already had these experiences. Now you make the world a better place, you build a legacy, you allow other people to achieve the same things that you did. And that way, because if one person's working on something, that's a lot less likely to come to fruition than, say, a lot of people, so he's just getting people up to speed. And then now you have a whole team that can help you work on things.
That's right. So what do you think about Hex price? I guess we talked a lot about Pulse. I know you got a lot of Hexicans too. And Brizology, totally. You're right. It's I think it's 3,600% or 37x. I think Wales actually posted a spreadsheet on Twitter about how people get the percentages and the X factors off a little bit because they're actually different. But it was a very cool spreadsheet that I saw. I mean, look at that. Was it Hexologist that posted about it, the engulfing weekly? I think it was. He posted earlier about, is that a weekly engulfing candle we have there?
Well, yeah, it definitely looks like it. I was going to say, probably was Hexo. I know Jenkins had posted the same thing too. There's just so much going on anymore that it's like I can't keep up with it, especially with some of the drama. But yeah, this is really cool to see. And that's just a weekly. But if you look at the monthly, people. And this is just version 2. Version 1 obviously has the whole price history,
right?
The date history. But you look at this, which was November, the big payday, November 19th, and I know someone. Once again, it's like letting the price kind of dictate your emotions, and then letting those emotions dictate your financial decisions. I know someone that they're lucky that I staked for them with my Uniswap airdrop, but they literally sold Hex at 20% of a penny, which was when Hexo was buying. Like, he literally bought the absolute dip, and or very, very close to it. And it just goes to show you, like, I made a video that, to be successful, the wealthier people, they don't look at these dips as like, the world is going to end, this is horror. They look at it as like, hey, this is an opportunity. And you mentioned even kind of like a accumulating or dollar cost averaging there too. But it's so cool to see how the second monthly candle went from red to green, and now everyone's like feeling normal and like good again. It's crazy how quick that can happen.
Yeah, that weekly. I mean, even that looks bullish to me right there. As long as we stay obviously in the green hammer can. I mean, I love TNA, but I've learned to like.
Yeah.
It honestly means very little. I enjoy it because I'm a math guy. I'm a I like drawing the lines and all that great stuff. But I mean, that's beautiful right there. Like, I don't know what anybody. Man, that's just like the most beautiful chart ever. So,
when the God wills, when he's accumulating, it's like, okay, are you going to try and compete with some big whale like this? Like, no, you're probably not going to be able to. So if the big big players are accumulating, then that's probably a good sign that we're close, or if not already bottomed out. So
That's right. That's right.
well, cool, man. I don't want to take too much of your time. I mean, I know we're already at 90 minutes, and kind of got the other life to live as far as that goes. It's been a damn good stream, man. Shit, like 90 minutes. We've heard your story. Some of the Hex information, how you got there, how you got into Pulse. I was thinking, because you had mentioned like the highest of stakes, the documentary that they're doing, which is absolutely exciting. But I was thinking that I can just play that on the outro. So instead of my normal, Nagabo intro as the outro, I'll do the highest of stakes one. But before I do that, is there anything that you want to, leave the people with? I mean, obviously you have your own YouTube channel as well, which everyone needs to go to and subscribe to. It's in the description. It's the second link. The first link's your Twitter. But any final words before I let you get back to the family and we listen to this couple minute sizzle reel?
No, I think you nailed it. I mean, obviously it helps to have the right kind of followers and have people supporting me. It's been amazing so far. Like I really, again, I've tried to do this YouTube thing on a couple different things, and I think I finally found something I really enjoy talking about. And I guess and people are telling me that I'm providing value, which is great. It keeps me going. If there's any, again, watch my videos. If there's anything you see that you'd like me to cover, that's probably the biggest thing. Is just I have a list going, and I'm really trying to run through it as kind of as thorough and as fast as I can. I don't plan on stopping. I kind of look at this like, how all the Hex OGs, they kind of built their, I mean, I want to get to a point that I'm doing streams consistently and things like that, not just with others, but probably my own. But yeah, let me know. I guess just give me feedback. That's all I can ask, is get in there, comment, feedback, tweet, whatever you can. Obviously support this guy too. If you haven't already clicked like, I mean, he's got multiple channels. He's got a help channel that he's working on. I'm sure you got that in your description as well, but you're doing a lot of good things too, Bran. So I appreciate everything you've done for the community. I appreciate you having me on. So. Well,
totally, man. Yeah. Thanks again, Steve, for coming on. And I look forward to doing it, the next time in the future. And everyone in the chat, everyone's saying great stream, Steve. So yeah, man, without further ado, I will pull us down. I'll put the highest of stakes thing up, and we'll end I'll end the stream once it finishes. But I'm going to remove me, put that up on the screen. And thank you, everyone.
This is the opportunity of a lifetime. Yes, every scammer in the world is going to tell you something similar, but in this case, you are actually going to have regret.
I mean, you're scamming everyone. Richard Hart, he's got a history of being called the spam master.
There's some weird things going on with his coins.
Making one of the biggest Ponzi schemes that we have ever seen.
Hex coin is 1,000% a scam coin.
People are going to lose money because of you.
Remember all the haters that told you that I was a scammer and Hex was a scam? I got bad news for the haters. We're making new all-time highs where everything else is getting wrecked. Price is up 4,000 or 5,000 fold in 600 days.
I've made enough money in the last week that I could buy a house in cash.
I would never have to work another day in my life.
I'm here to shill. I want to change the world, and I can only do that if people participate. The only thing that matters in this world is goods and services. Everything else is accounting. And our made-up imaginary internet money is better than the government's made-up imaginary internet money. Both of them are only backed by the shared fiction of the humans believing that they have value.
If Hex is a religion, then Richard is God.
I'm in crypto for glory. I want to have the best cryptocurrency that's ever existed. I want to have the best performing asset that's ever existed.
And so I think of blockchain as like the internet. In the 90s, everyone thought the internet was just for email.
I bought some this morning.
They're imaginary quarters. Like, it's like playing Monopoly.
I put it all in. I went.
Like, all what?
all of our house money.
This is a force that is not going to go away. The cryptocurrency is not going away. And at some point, the people that you met that you thought were crazy loon birds, they're going to be in the 1%, and they're going to be the people that own half everything.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, be sure to share, be sure to comment. Yeah. Say hey. Hey, yeah. Say hey, hey. Hey, yeah. Say hey. Say hey, yeah. Say hey. Motherfucking jackpot. We still jackpot, bitch!
Thank you, Richard, for creating and founding the most amazing and disruptive financial technology cryptocurrency ever. Thank you, sir. And nice streams, Mr.